And now I'd like to do some traditional Japanese haikus. Just a couple of them. These are my favourite ones. Burkas surround me. ISIS is closing in fast. Need muzzy repellent. We have to be tough. Say enough is enough. I've got cane-toed jeans. Ribbon. And now, people of Australia, I'll just see, hang on, we've got on the list left. I've only got one more. Might be two. Oh, we've got two more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Las Vegas, Kubalap, I'd like you to give a big hand now for this poetry extraordinaire, which is, you know, down the back there, wearing that white wig. She'll be coming up to the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a poet. She's written books. She's published books. She's done all sorts of crazy stuff. And, you know, she's a bit of an activist and a mentalist herself. Ladies and gentlemen, Coral Farta. Carter. Coral Carter.
Thanks, Pauline. We all know the one about Carter the Fartable Starter. We all did that at university. Sacred text. I'm reading two poems today. One is Faces in the Street by Henry Lawson in 1888. He was a Republican and a socialist. He wrote more about the lives of working people than the other more romantic poets. And then Amanda Joy asked me to read Ali Cobby Eckermann poem from the famous Chicago, whatever it's called, I've forgotten, poetry book. Okay, rightio. This is quite long, but we can do it. Faces in the Street. They lie, the men who tell us in a loud, decisive tone, that want is here a stranger and that misery's unknown. For where the nearest suburb and the city proper meet, my window sill is level with the faces in the street, drifting past to the beat of weary feet, while I sorrow for the owners of those faces in the street. And I have cause to sorrow in a land so young and fair, to see upon those faces stamped the marks of want and care. I look in vain for traces of the fresh air, fair and sweet, in sallow, sunken faces that are drifting through the street. Drifting on to the scrape of restless feet, I can sorrow for the owners of the faces in the street. In hours before the dawning dims the starlight in the sky, the wan and weary faces first begin to trickle by, increasing as the moments hurry on with morning feet, till like a pallid river flows the faces in the street, flowing in to the beat of hurried feet. Ah, I sorrow for the owner of those faces in the street. The human river dwindles when 'tis past of the city's unemployed upon this weary beat, drifting round to tread of listless feet. Ah, my heart aches for the owner of that sad face in the street. And when the hours are lagging, feet have slowly dragged away, and sickly yellow gaslights rise to mock the growing day, then flowing past my window like a tide in its retreat, again I see the pallid stream of faces in the street, ebbing out to the drag of tired feet, while my heart is aching dumbly for the faces in the street. And now, all blurred and smirched with vice, the day's sad pages end, for while the short, large hours towards the longer, small hours trend, with smiles that mock the wearer and with words that half entreat, Delilah pleads for custom at the corner of the street, sinking down, battered wreck of tempest's beat. A dreadful, thankless trade is hers, that woman of the street. But to dreader things than these our fair young city comes, for in its heart are growing thick the filthy dens and slums, where human forms shall rot away in sight for swine unmeet, and ghostly faces shall be seen unfit for any street, rotting out for lack of air and meat, in dens of vice and horror that are hidden from the street. I wonder would the apathy of wealthy men endure, were all their windows level with the faces of the poor? Ah, Mammon's slave, your knees shall knock, your hearts in terror beat, when God demands a reason for the sorrows of the street. The wrong things and the bad things and the sad things that we meet in the filthy lane and alley and the cruel and heartless street. I left the dreadful corner where the steps are never still, and sought another window overlooking gorge and hill. But when the night came dreary with the driving rain and sleet, they haunted me, the shadows of those faces in the street, flitting by, flitting by, flitting by with noiseless feet, and with cheeks but little paler than the real ones in the street. Once I cried, O God Almighty, if thy might doth still endure, show me now in a vision for the wrongs of earth a cure. And lo, with shops all shuttered, I beheld a city street, and in the warming distance heard the tramp of many feet, coming near to a drum's dull distant beat. And soon I saw the army that was marching down the street. Then like a swollen river that has broken bank and wall, the human flood came pouring with the red flags over all, and kindled eyes all blazing bright with revolution's heat, and flashing swords reflecting rigid faces in the street, pouring on to a drum's loud threatening beat, and the war hymns and the cheering of the people in the street. And so it must be while the world goes rolling round its course, the warning pen shall write in vain, the warning voice grow hoarse, but not until a city feels red revolution's feet shall its sad people miss awhile the terrors of the street, the dreadful everlasting strife for scarcely clothes and meat, in that pent track of living death, the city's cruel street.
To have Ravi, I'll read out the bio. S. Nagaveeran, also known as Ravi, fled Sri Lanka due to brutality suffered through the civil war and ongoing persecution of the Tamil people. He arrived by boat and was incarcerated in Australia's detention camp at Nauru for more than 2 years. He was recently transferred to Broadmeadows Detention Centre in Melbourne. Whilst in detention, he began drawing and writing and is now a lead member of Writing Through Fences and will become its coordinator for Western Australia on his impending release. He has a book of poems published called From Hell to Hell. Ravi.
Thank you very much for giving chance to sharing my voice. So normally I'm just a little bit nervous to talking in front of people. So I don't have too much to tell anything about Soldier Disease, it's all about me. So English is my third language. So I used to writing and drawing to express my feelings while I was in the detention center, because most of them, they don't have any ideas about the feelings, how the people coping living in a detention center. So I chose the way to writing. So I'm not a writer in my past. I just started to write this few years ago. That's been 3 years now. So I write this one while I was in a Melbourne detention center. This poem called I Hate Myself. It's really I hate myself while I was in the detention center. So I'm a little bit lucky to having still I'm alive. I hate myself. Mentally, I'm blind. Yes, spiritually, I'm dead. Physically, I'm always giving with fake smile on my face. My lips cannot explain that pain in my heart. I'm a loser. I hate myself. Each day, a little bit more. Yes, I'm depressed. So useless. I just want to go sleep and never wake up again. You can't possibly to imagine how much pain surrounding my heart. I'm coping with horrible things. I constantly feel I'm at war with myself. Over and over, you lie to me. Over and over, making more pain. Over and over, I have cried. Over and over, I'm very tired. Over and over, I hate myself. Every single second I that pass with I hate myself. When I started to cry, I comfort my pain of being broken every day. I hello behind the mask face, suffering with loneliness. The things you are doing to me causes me to hate myself. You are inhuman. The power of that, your politics. I have lost myself. I tell everyone I'm fine, but I'm really dying slowly. Everything I had running away from my head, I lay in the dark in my bed. And I think about my future, but I hasn't been shut down completely. I'm so sad. I hate myself. Yes. I want to sleep, never ever wake up again. Thank you very much.
I have something terrible to announce to all of you. I went to the hospital and I was diagnosed with Middle Eastern genes. My DNA test. It's terrible. So I don't knock it, because it's made me the person I am today, and it must have been obviously, a victim of rape, because, they wouldn't normally do that. And I'm getting in touch with my Middle Eastern roots. I haven't had any yet, but I'm hoping that maybe our next guest tonight might be able to, indoctrinate me. He's very handsome and he's a refugee from the Sudan. Yeah, that's right, I spelt it wrong. From the Sudan, and he's a brilliant poet, and he's been in Perth knocking around for a lot of years, and he's a wonderful man. Please welcome Afeif Ismail.
I would like to finally thank Genius Australian for allowing me to call Australia home. As my ancestor back in Africa taught me we have brothers and sisters in nature, I promise them I will never ever harm this land or its people. Refugees, forced to flee their hard land, not fearing death, but demanding life. Year after year, their alien soul shriveled. They are returning, not for the heavy weight of the nostalgia, but to be buried in their home land. Osamba or Obsama. I was watching my son drawing a white house, lily white, dripping red, red, red. Suddenly, he turned his head and asked me, "Dad, what is the difference between Obama and Osama?" "No distinction, son. They both believe execution is justice. Marcus Koff. In a room without windows, the cough of Karl Marx is still feeble in the corners of the universe. Why? Why were you late? Why were you late, my children, in discovering penicillin? Prison. The jailer said, my shift will end now. Do you need anything? What a lucky man you are. You're going back to your wife and children. You are freer than I am. Tomorrow or after tomorrow, you will get out of here and you will write poetry, stories, and memories about me. As for me, every day, I take it home with me, this prison. Image of war. Between fortified walls, the leader of the battle is planning it on maps. Accurately, he locates the lurking places of the enemy. He connected the twisted path in the forest and the mountains and the seas and the desert until victory. Then he sleeps. He sleeps before he considers what he will do for the lost soldier who's drinking his own urine. In the furnace of war, there is no more green. Wheat-eating birds are nibbling on corpses down to the bones. I asked him, what about them after the war is over? They will return to what they were before. Then, how I can trust my little bird who until yesterday was a vulture? Away, away, far away, go the martyrs. Maybe further away than the sky, and on earth the rot of the battle.
What is war? Some say it's a human thing, but biologists know that ain't so. Some say it's a male thing, but schoolgirls know that's fucking bullshit. A warrior fights the war within. A soldier fights the war without. War is external, internal, one-sided, mutual, corporate. War is expedient, convenient, profitable. It's about taking what we want and defending what we have. War is about possession and dispossession. If evil is the absence of empathy, then the need for war must come from a powerful fear that we will miss out or lose face. So we annihilate that perceived threat, lest we forget. And we do, over and over. The war on terror, the war on aphids, the war on filth, or on our best mate when love turns to hate, or on ourselves when we are afraid to accept who we are for fear of losing who we're supposed to be. Is war a state of insanity? Do you suffer from war? Absence of empathy? Fear of annihilation? need for revenge, demand for power, complete control, at any price, no negotiation. So I ask you, what is peace?
Next up we have Raymond Grenfell. Hi. Ray's been, I guess in political sort of circles in Perth for a long, long time, and has also been doing poetry, for a long time in Perth. I don't know, I didn't get a bio, so I'm not quite sure how to introduce you, but Ray does good poems, so welcome Ray.
That was pretty much the bio. Thanks very much for having me this evening. Poem for the wire stitches. Hopelessness in all things, the poor and desperate on Manus, eyes that do not see. Poem for horror, for the privilege to name it and not starve. Poem for myself, of course, words opaque and stale. The beetles gather at the edge of the window, praying for tears, my chest sinking deeper still. You don't have to. You can if you like, but you don't have to. The front. 30 young red flags march Murray Street to shout absent truths beyond the suburbs. Their parents' Sunday afternoon lawns in Polity, now the revolutionary cadre of weekend rallies and glossed hyperbole, 60 new sneakers shuffling for someone's freedom. Standing there, I could not help but see it absurd. And what does it say of 5,000 years dispossessed, Gaza or Balga, evicted and shot? And what does it say of my friends, dispossessed of mind, stumbling half drunk, anxious, violent, boredom lost, smoking and drinking away our moments together? And last night, after the Maoris stole from my brother and the cops came to assault the assaulted, you could not help but cry. History folding in on itself, the sadness in all things, oceans between us. Good. This is really annoying having a fucking phone to do this one. Something a bit more upbeat. I dreamt of my daughter holding me with her words as we drove from the ocean toward a world that is not mine and never will be. I awoke in love, her image keeping the room whole. Later, when the tears came, I thought to keep this world away, to let all dreams fall like paper mountains in the sky. And let's do one more. More depressing poems, that's why you're here, right? Yeah. I don't know, I'll just do it. Oh, actually I'll do a poem by someone else because it's a fantastic poem. This is by Roberto Bolaño. It's called Godzilla in Mexico. Listen carefully, my son. Bombs were falling over Mexico City, but no one even noticed. The air carried poison through the streets and open windows. You just finished eating and were watching cartoons on TV. I was reading in the bedroom next door when I realized we were going to die. Despite the dizziness and nausea, I dragged myself in the kitchen and found you on the floor. We hugged. You asked what was happening, and I didn't tell you we were on death's program, but instead that we were going on a journey, one more, together, and that you shouldn't be afraid. When I left, death didn't even close our eyes. What are we, you asked, a week or a year later? Ants, bees, wrong numbers in the big rotten soup of chance. We're human beings, my son, almost birds, public heroes and secrets. Thanks very much.
Back in 2012, the Brave dedicated brave dedicated refugee activists from Refugee Rights Action Network took this long bus ride out a whole lot of adventures all the way up to the Curtin Detention Centre. And it took basically all Easter and like even a bit longer. And then in the end, we got to the gate of the Curtin Detention Centre, and at the time there were heaps of refugees inside. And wouldn't you believe it? SERCO and the Immigration Department wouldn't actually let us in. It was, they wouldn't let us get in to see the refugees. Actually, the funny thing was we discovered afterwards that the person at the front gate dressed up in a SERCO uniform was actually a employee, like a literally paid employee of the Immigration Department, but dressed up pretending to be SERCO. And so SERCO was the one basically telling us everything we wanted to see. Can we go and see the refugees? No. Can we do? No. Can we? No. This song came out of that. All right. Our friends are trapped in detention. Although they deserve to be free, we made application to see them, but SERCO said no to me. SERCO, SERCO, whatever your question, the answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the answer is always no. That last bit's the chorus. You're going to have to join in. We couldn't get in for a visit, so we passed them a note. The reply when it came was explicit, because they had learnt it by rote. SERCO, SERCO, whatever your question, the answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the answer is always no. We made a long bus ride to see them. We asked for a toilet to pee. The toilet was there by the checkpoint, but it was for them, not for me. SERCO, SERCO, whatever your question, the answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the answer is always no. The guards told the refugees, the guards said the bus is not coming. The refugees on the inside, but we were en route with a mission, and SERCO once again lied. SERCO, SERCO, whatever your question, the answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the answer is always no. You may be in refugee prison. A doctor you may need to see. Just fill in this form and a copy. Your answer in 1 month for free. SERCO, SERCO, whatever your question, the answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the answer is always no. Justice is not their priority. However, I'm sure you can guess when the question is maximum profits. For SERCO, the answer is yes. SERCO, SERCO, do we want them here? Our answer is no. SERCO, SERCO, the truth is they just have to go.
Going on there, and the Kurdish people have faced a lot of oppression, and they're standing up to it. I think this story is a kind of a brief history of what's going on in this Kurdish liberation struggle that's led by women. It's about defending the environment. It's about democracy and a multi-ethnic, multi-religious new kind of society that's being born. And just probably the one thing that the song doesn't explain, so I'll just mention it in case you've never heard of him. One of the key leader of the Kurdish liberation movement. He's in jail under the Turkish state at the moment. His name's Abdullah Öcalan, but he's known as Apo. So when I mention Apo, that's who that is. British used to deny culture denigration, state-run genocide. In the 80s, used as proxies between Iraq and Iran. Used again by the US when they came to get Saddam. First seeking independence, now autonomy. Apo is in jail. Kurds still fight for liberty. The Arab Spring came to Kurdistan. The civil war in Rojava. Islamic State came to Kurdistan. But the Kurds stood up. Hidden in the shadows, slaves accepted name to wed their greatest glory, free choice their greatest shame. Their brothers thought them helpless, they even thought the same. What good is Kurdish freedom if half remain in chains? Revolution knocking, women heard the call, equality for gender, faith, race, all. The Arab Spring came to Kurdistan. The civil war in Rojava. Islamic State came to Kurdistan. But the women stood up. In 2012, Jazeera, Kamala and Afrin were liberated from Assad, a new life ushered in. As Syrian and Arab assured an equal place, ecology, gender rights, so for the human race. Then came the IS thugs with their threats to rape and kill. Free women formed the YPJ. Kobani holds out still. The Arab Spring came to Kurdistan. Civil war to Rojava. Islamic State came to Kurdistan. But the women stood up. The Arab Spring